meeting to order. First order on the agenda, 25-013, approval of the agenda. Is there any changes?
I move to approve the agenda.
Second.
A motion to approve in a second. All those in favor? All opposed? 25-0-104, here we go again. Open forum, there's no one on open forum. So we will move on to 25-105, rebuilding update. And I will hand it over to McCown. Barry.
All right, thank you. Well, it's been, 6 weeks. I think it was early December since we've been here in front of the board. Wanted to provide a quick update on progress and kind of what some next steps are for the construction project. And since the last time that we met, we have received bids for the earthwork and concrete. We did chat about those last meeting. Since then, we've received bids from the trade partners on the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and fire suppression scopes, as well as the structural steel and then utility contracts. And those bids were received here in early January. So the remaining bidding that we have left to do on the project is associated with bid package 4, which is the balance of all of the building, which would include kind of all the exterior skin materials, so brick, metal panels, glass and glazing, roofing, and then all of the interior scopes of the project. It would include ceilings and drywall and paint and flooring and all those trades that are associated with that work. And we'll get to a schedule update on what that looks like here in a couple of slides. So our path forward here again is we're gonna continue to receive those bids February 4th for those remaining trades. We do have some budgets, some bids that were not in alignment with where we anticipated those bids to be, including those bids from the concrete earthwork package that we gave you all an update on in early December. So some of those are kind of persistent. We had some inconsistencies in the bids that took place in bid package 3. And we are going to look for some cost reduction measures along with the SBT team and the consultants there to work to close that gap and get those bids and those budgets realigned back and forth. And our plan here is to move forward with the apparent low bidders in those packages and work alongside of them for some creative ideas and plan changes that we can then take back to the design team and work alongside of them to make some appropriate reductions to the project and working on getting that scope and that budget aligned. So our plan here, this is a quick schedule update. We're here in January working on bid package number 4. It's currently out for bid. Been working the market really hard. Had some good responses so far and expect a good showing. That bid is due on February 4th. The McCown team, along with SBT and district leadership, are going to take some time here over in the early part of February to come together, review the scope, review the bids, and finalize that GMP, and then be back in front of the group in the middle of February. Right now we're planning on February 17th, where we'll have all of those bid packages wrapped together and have the budget and the scope aligned and ready for an approval of the full contract value, full construction value at that point. And then immediately following that would be, we're anticipating moving forward with awarding contracts to those low bidders and then working through plans to get mobilized and onto the site to start construction as soon as we possibly can. So that's our short and sweet little update for everybody. What questions do you all have for me?
Amber, you good? It's pretty short and sweet tonight. Jordan?
Yeah, I had a question. I just lost it though. Go back to that previous slide, maybe I'll bring it back.
What meeting, when do you plan on your next meeting here? 17th, 18th?
Yeah, at this point, it is February 17th, which I believe is a regular board meeting.
Oh, I remember. So you said there's some inconsistencies in some bids or whatever. Does any of that have to do like with any, I don't know if this is the correct word, but like a premium built in for the timing constraints that are, you know, is there any of that going on? Because we're trying to push it for a certain date that
Yeah.
they're, you know, upcharging because of needing it to get done soon or.
Yeah, the inconsistencies are generally around the alignment of the scope. So it's, you know, we've got to go address, do they have the right scope around mechanical systems, and do they have the right scope around audio-visual systems and data systems? And we're right in the middle of analyzing that with those trade partners to evaluate, are there specific things that need to be dialed back, or if there's anything that maybe can be either completely removed or adjusted through the process. And that,
You were wanting to know if it's more because we're pushing it?
Right, yeah, just because of the timing.
Timing or anything?
generally not the timing or the project parameters per se.
I have one question currently. When looking at those, is it a materials or a labor aspect that's causing this? I guess like a location per se, or is it, does that question make sense?
So I think your question, if I'm gonna kind of assume here, which is dangerous, but I'm assuming you're gonna ask, is it cost more to build in Atwood, Kansas than it does in other places?
From a labor / material aspect, because, I mean, we're not close to a lot of manufacturers per se.
Right. To an extent, it does. However, it's been trending in the same direction as other projects that we've seen in kind of western and northwestern Kansas. So it's not been, you know, as we kind of compare those projects together, they're generally in line. There's a slight premium, but those comparisons are maybe 2 years old. So it's, some of it could be due to inflation. Some of it could be due to material price increases on just the price of copper, the price of concrete, the price of steel, for example.
So the current overages, would it be more identified towards the material items themselves or more labor?
Depends on the scope, and it can be both.
It depends on the trade, really, right?
Yeah.
It's
I'm just saying our current overages.
Yeah.
And part of it,
where's it at?
part
Is
of
it
it
more
is
of a
like-
material or?
like, one of the inconsistencies we're talking about is on the mechanical bid. We're not sure if some of the bidders understood that they were, our engineer specifies around a certain manufacturer, and I'm not sure that they understood that they could provide alternate manufacturers. And I think one of their bids has said that we can give you a much better number if you are not tied to this one manufacturer. Well, it was never the intent to be tied to one manufacturer. So having them understand that, we want them to bid more than one manufacturer, that's where we need to be. So that's where we need to look.
So that one would be what I did identify as a product. I was curious on all of them because there's a pretty good swing on some of them. So if it would be identified as, like, if the materials are that much significantly higher, I'm just curious on that from that perspective.
Yeah. So it's, I can't say that it's carte blanche the same across all of the trade partners or, you know, type of work. It kind of varies. So for example, you know, we saw in the mechanical, some of that equipment is an inconsistency. Some of the electrical, we know that based on what else is happening in the marketplace is that there is a premium on labor. We know that concrete and earthwork, for example, there's a little bit of a premium just because they're equipment heavy, they're labor heavy. So there's some of that that's happening, but it varies based on which type of work you put in place.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I'm gonna make everybody happy. The board has got a major decisions to make. We've got $40 million to build a school, and the budget is 8 million over that. So there's gonna have to be a lot of negotiating going on. We gotta try to get back down to the 40 million.
Well, it's not accurate to say, shouldn't get out there that it's $8 million over because we don't have the rest of the bids yet. And we don't have clarity on some of these scope items, so it's not, we can't make that statement yet.
No.
Well, I mean, I think the public ought to be aware of the fact that we even got an issue to deal with.
We have some room to make up for sure, but we also have to make sure we're looking at all these things correctly before we say what number we're over.
Yeah, to Greg's point is, we've bid out approximately 50% of the trades. Of those, for 50% of the trades, and the value of the work is less than the proportional that the overage that you mentioned, right? So we don't have clarity on the remaining $20 million of scope that has yet to be bid to understand, is it going to be on budget? Is it going to be under budget? And how does that affect some other scopes around the school? So if you recall, there are scopes like work that's happening in the VOAG building, there's work that's happening in the gym, as well as some additional site work, parking lots, that kind of thing, that need to be evaluated. Are they truly necessary, and do they fit in the program of the project, or is that contributing to a budget overage? So all of those things have to be taken into consideration together, and when you move one lever, you may be needing to move 2 or 3 alongside of it. So
you're wanting to wait till we got the GMP 4 before you
Yes.
make any major decisions on it?
So our process here is we've acknowledged there are some budget overages, including the one from GMP 2 that we updated in early December. There's been, again, some inconsistencies in the bidding that took place in bid package 3. We've got work to do to rectify those inconsistencies in budget overages. And our job here is to get those caught up so that when we have the remaining bids for the year, we can align those two together and have both of those coming together at the same time, so that we have the budget, a handle on the budget, and we know what the scope is, so that when those two are done, we're ready to move forward as quickly as we can.
Would it be a fair question or ask that at the point of the next meeting, that there's, I guess it kind of goes along with what Terry's asking in perspective of, I'm not going to say a number, but that we are over. We can all agree that we're over, right? It's not just a negligible amount. But what was presented to the community and compared to what is being looked at to be axed to get the budget back down.
Yeah.
I think that everybody in the community at that point that wants to listen or wants to understand that, should know exactly what they voted on versus what sacrifices are going to have to be made.
Yeah, so the first order of business is we have what was written in the ballot that was committed to the taxpayers that generally needs to be met, right? So that's what the taxpayers voted on. The first order of business in reducing costs is to reduce costs in a way that aren't impacting the program. In other words, the size of the classroom, the various elements in the gymnasium, the K through 12 area, is to work to find cost reductions within those spaces that aren't affecting the look and feel of the building and the space of it. If there is a byproduct of some of those exercises that is able to make certain spaces more efficient, and by efficient, I'm saying reducing some square footage without affecting the way that the function and the use of the building, those will also be reviewed. and we'll put a price tag to those and make sure that the community, that the board members have say in what cost reduction items are finally committed to.
And I understand that I guess what I'm asking is to just present it like that, like.
Yeah.
It's just brutal. Like, if we can't build a parking lot, then this was presented in it needs to be said, this was presented in the community meeting of whatever. This is what everybody looked at. This is what we're gonna have to give up to make this happen.
Yeah, nothing's gonna be hidden. I mean, it's all gonna be out there.
I understand that, and it's
Yeah.
choosing your words carefully. I'm just saying be brutal of what it is. And you can ask most people. I know how to choose words very carefully as well, but I'm just saying we just need to be brutal at this point.
You mean, when you say brutal, you mean brutally honest, you mean brutally,
Clear.
oh, okay, that's fine.
Anything else? Amber, you good?
I'm done.
Anything else, Barry? Greg, you got anything to throw in?
No, we'll have a lot more on the 17th.
17th will fix all our problems.
Hopefully you don't have anything else on the agenda on the 17th. We'll probably take a minute or two.
Duly noted.
Better get a hotel.
We'll move on, 25-106, we don't need any action tonight. Correct?
Correct.
So we can move on to 25-107.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that one.
Motion to adjourn, seconded, all those in favor? All opposed?